Who's starting at quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals in prime time coming off the bye week? Is it Kyler Murray? Is it Jacoby Brissett? And BJ Ojulari returns and reveals his injury was a little bit more severe than we even knew about. Johnny Venerable is here too. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, that's Brack. We're going to be talking about Kyler Murray's recovery timeline. And is there more at stake than it appears? And of course, we're also going to be talking about which players could be dealt ahead of the NFL trade deadline for the Arizona Cardinals. That and more. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Up Studio K, presented by our friends, our dear friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Special early start time today. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack in Studio K. No man behind the mic. And we are off to the races, Bo, on what could be our most tinfoil hat episode of the season thus far. Buckle up.
Things are going to get weird. Yeah, absolutely. Buckle up, strap in. What's going on, everybody? I see you there, Dylan Richards. How about Griffin? He loves it. We got Schaff in the house. Deborah, what's going on? Deb. So many people here locked and loaded trying to figure out what's going on with this team. So much smoke screening, so much look over here and something's going on over there. It's all just kind of it's tough. So we're going to try to put it all together for you. Of course, brought to you by your friends over at Bet365. Never ordinary. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the code PHNX365. Deposit $10, bet $5, and get $200 in bonus bets at Bet365.
All right, let's cut right into this because we've had a roller coaster of a day. Okay, so I'm going to peel back the curtain for everybody at home on show prep for Bo and I. Bo and I talk consistently throughout the day. Of course, Bo's at practice, and I texted him. I said, "Let's, we're going to talk about potential players the Cardinals could very well deal at the deadline, because tomorrow is our preview show, and then Monday we have Monday Night Football, and then the trade deadline is Tuesday." And Gannon himself touched on like the fact that they're having conversations, he and Monti by himself ahead of the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bo responds with, "Well, I think we should lead with like the Jacoby Kyler question mark about who's going to start." And I'm not at the facility. Bo is, and I'm still very much of the mindset. I see Schefter tweet stuff out, and it's just like we talk to people. It's like, well, no, Kyler's. Everybody knows Kyler's starting. And as the day has progressed, however, what seemed like a certainty to your, news earlier today feels like this could have a trickle-down effect, a domino effect that maybe we were not prepared for ahead of today.
No doubt about it. I mean, it started off earlier this morning, 9:45, bright and early. Jonathan Gannon holds court for his usual availability. And, obviously on this day for each week, it's the quarterback press conference later in the day. So Gannon talks, team hits the practice field, and then the quarterback comes in and speaks. We've gone through this whole rigmarole now 3 weeks with Kyler Murray's status being in the air, and this is probably the strangest. But, Gannon was asked, what's it going to take, or what does Kyler have to show you, in order to, get himself set to play on Monday night and that he's fully healthy. And then Josh Weinfuss of ESPN.com asked Gannon straight up, are you preparing Kyler Murray to start? Yeah.
Me. It's like one of those. You give your, hey, did you fold the laundry? Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so like that, I didn't read too much into his presser, but then went on the practice field, and there's another report out there that Kyler Murray was throwing with the first team offense, which would have been a new development.
Sure.
However, as you were there watching everything transpire, describe what you saw with Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett.
Well, I don't have to describe it. We have video.
Oh, good.
Evidence of who each quarterback was throwing to. So here you got Kyler Murray, and he's hitting Josiah DeGuara.
I'm like, I don't know who 49 is.
Right. And then you got Jacoby launching it deep and missing Elijah Higgins.
Nice.
Tight end 2. Then you have Kyler Murray dropping back to pass, ripping one downfield. I believe this is DeGuara again. Kyler, once again, you'll see him kind of throw it deep downfield. There's 49, like third string tight end. There's Marvin Harrison Jr. taking a pass from number 7, Jacoby Brissett. Kyler's just kind of running around there as he's doing drills. And then you'll see 7 rip it to Michael Wilson. Where are those guys on the depth chart? Here's Kyler Murray, and you'll notice he's got his jersey rolled up. That's Xavier Weaver. Xavier Weaver, who's been active a few games, inactive other games. Jacoby Brissett thrown down. Once again, Marvin Harrison Jr. Kyler Murray throwing to Semi Fioco. Got to go down the depth chart. That's a pass from Brissett to Marvin Harrison Jr. Brissett, play action fade, rip it downfield to who? Michael Wilson. Then you've got Kyler Murray dropping back, throwing down, and that's a catch from Xavier Weaver once again. Jacoby, play action fake, sets himself, throws downfield. That's Marv. We all recognize Marvin Harrison Jr. Jacoby again, launching out of there, throwing down. That's Michael Wilson. And then Kyler Murray, you'll see him throw deep downfield to Xavier Weaver. Really at no point, if you're kind of establishing where these guys are in the lineup, I didn't. If I did, I missed it. See Kyler Murray throw to the more prominent players that are in the starting lineup.
Looks like what he did the last 2 weeks. Okay, so I expected Kyler Murray to start this week. I don't know how anybody can definitively say that right now. Gannon is very kind of wishy-washy. The Cardinals are clearly doing some gamesmanship, but here's the problem. You could do that when Kyler Murray was not 100%. We are going to walk everybody through the timeline of Kyler Murray's recovery, a recovery in which come Monday Night Football, it will have been a full month since Kyler Murray injured his foot. And by all accounts, he looks fantastic in practice. So we're coming right back around the corner. We're going to walk through that timeline. And I just want to emphasize with everybody, it's like, why would the Cardinals, if Kyler Murray is healthy, not declare him the starter this week? What do they have to gain from that? What is their at play here? Everybody get their tinfoil hats on. Very interesting, especially ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline that's coming up. First, though, coming up, a trip to our friends at Rally House. So fired up. Rally House, right now, the go-to spot to shop all your favorite local Arizona team gear. Tens of thousands of products to shop from. They've got locations in Tempe, Mesa, Glendale. Have you checked out their game day needs via hats, drinkware, signage, coolers, sunscreen, whatever you're looking for? Rep it at Rally House. They only carry Arizona sports teams. Every time you go to a Rally House, you're guaranteed to find something unique, new, and matches your game day vibe. Can't wait to go back out to the Glendale location, my home base. You can find yours today. Shop their entire product assortment online. Rallyhouse.com, Bo.
Do your research after an accident or serious injury. That's the best advice I can give you. And then also, actually, the best advice is to go see our friends over the husband and wife law team. That's right. Mark and Alexis, the husband and wife law team, have made Phoenix their home, raising 8 kids and helping families across the state through some of the toughest times in their lives. They know what it's all like. Their firm 100% dedicated to injury and wrongful death cases. Give them a call right now, 602-783-8841, or visit husbandandwifelawteam.com, because they've done, so many different hundreds of years of combined trial experience. And yes, they've actually go to trial when it's necessary. They're not just going to try to, find the easiest deal to get. You always have access to your attorney, no illness phone time. They'll run around, just real people who care and fight for you. Check them out. Give Mark and Alexis a call. If you've suffered a serious injury, call Husband and Wife Law Team first, 602-783-8841, and visit husbandandwifelaw.team.com because the lawyer you hire truly matters.
All right, we're back. Hit that like button. We are early today, but that doesn't mean we don't have the goods. All right, Bo, be a gem. Walk us through this timeline here, a tremendous all-time spooky graphic here for spooky season from our guy Noah, man. Let's see the Kyler Murray recovery timeline here. And Bo, how did we get to this point where Kyler Murray, we all assume would be starting, is now having his quarterback media availability postponed?
That's right. For a third consecutive game week, that's what we're dealing with. And you have to go all the way back to October 5th. That's right. 25 days ago, you had this kind of he comes out of the game after a weird play where he gets the ball snapped into his face mask, and you think he's going into the blue injury tent to deal with maybe a concussion or whatever it may be. It's revealed he left with a foot, came back into the game. Cardinals blew that game against the Titans, and Kyler mentioned that he still needed to have his foot evaluated going forward. Nobody really made much of it at that point. It wasn't until Wednesday of the following game week that Gannon revealed that Kyler Murray was not going to practice that day. So then Kyler Murray misses Wednesday, he misses Thursday, and then Friday, October 10th, 5 days later, he's limited in practice, and he's mostly throwing to non-starters on the Cardinals. The next couple days, as Jonathan Gannon said, the 48 hours are crucial. They travel to Indianapolis and then is ruled inactive on game day, October 12th against the Colts. And then the following week, Johnny, it's Kyler Murray limited back on the practice field. He's questionable officially for that game. Adam Schefter tweets out the Saturday before game day Sunday that the Cardinals are looking to put Kyler Murray back in the lineup after the bye on Monday Night Football. That was way back on October 18th.
Yeah.
Now, get ahead about 10 days from that, participated in practice earlier this week. That was your bonus practice. He wasn't on the practice squad side of the field like he was for a couple of these weeks. He was back with the active roster throwing the players. And then yesterday, the team, they tried out 3 quarterbacks. Jeff Driscoll was part of that. And then today, you had Kyler, as we've revealed to you, wasn't exactly throwing to first teamers there. K1 and his media availability was postponed today to later in the week. What's going on?
Also, add in the fact that the Cardinals worked out a slew of, let's just call them slappies, Jags, at quarterback earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Driscoll among them. The franchise has familiarity. But here's the catch is Slovis, our boy Keaton Slovis, still on the active roster. He's not been cut. He's not on the practice squad. What does that equate to? I think you could come to a realistic expectation that not only Jacoby Brissett could be poised to start Monday Night Football. If that were to happen and Kyler Murray is healthy, all bets are off. Now, we're still 4 days away from that. But it's like, why is Slovis on the active roster? Why is Jacoby still throwing to the ones? If Kyler Murray's healthy, why isn't he working with the ones? Why isn't this business as usual? And again, why are you working out quarterbacks? I mean, I just, you can say we're crazy, but it's a conversation worth having. When the Minnesota Vikings have an opening at quarterback, when they have lost multiple quarterbacks to injuries, and tomorrow to the day is the 2-year anniversary when the Arizona Cardinals traded Joshua Dobbs to the current regime. Current regime with current regime. It's not like we've had turnover on both sides. The two parties that are full of speculation right now with their fan bases did a quarterback deal 2 years ago tomorrow. So just putting that out there. And again, if the Cardinals didn't want this, then they shouldn't be inadvertently or advertently welcoming this among themselves. If Kyler Murray was out there and he was fully healthy then he would be taking all the first team reps publicly. He'd have his quarterback presser. It's like, if this is all gamesmanship, then I just feel bad for everybody involved because, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I think Jacoby or Kyler Murray would play well against Dallas. Dallas is not a good football team.
No doubt about it.
They're desperate, but I look at this and I'm like, why are you working out quarterbacks? Why is he healthy, presumably, not working with your ones ahead of the trade deadline? It's very odd.
Yeah. And I had made a speculation yesterday when the news about the 3 quarterbacks trying out, what was the reason for that? Because Slovis is on the active roster, and you would just assume, how things were going to go today. At least I was.
Yeah.
Kyler was going to be back working his way towards, taking reps with Marv and Michael Wilson and Trey McBride, but he didn't. That Keaton Slovis was just headed towards being released because he's on the active roster.
Right. We all thought that.
Couldn't re-sign him in the practice squad, and he wanted to seek, another opportunity, or they wanted to just pivot their third practice squad quarterback in a different direction because maybe they didn't feel as confident after seeing more of Slovis. All speculation, but I think that just in the name, and we're just speculating here, of a competitive advantage that they think they could gain against that week's opponent, it's opening up so many different scenarios that the fan base, ourselves too included, are going through. Like, what is going on? And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. If Jonathan Gannon is true to his word, where the last couple of weeks when the question about Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett, who's going to be the starter, and he's pretty straight to the point, cut and dry, Kyler's the guy if healthy, then what is all of this? Why are we playing all these games? So, I mean, you think it's probably a long shot that it would involve a move involving K1, but at the same time, like, you can't completely rule it out.
Also, you can't rule out the fact that, like, Jacoby's numbers are better. Like, did they just have a decision during the bye week that they're going to roll? Why is Jacoby getting reps with the ones?
Right.
Ask yourself that. We were told by somebody incredibly close to the situation after Kyler sustained the injury that it was basically 50-50 he was going to play against the Colts, and that they were trending toward testing it out, assuming it didn't feel sore on their flight to Indianapolis, and then it felt sore, so they held off.
Right. That
was like almost a month ago. I think Kyler Murray's foot, I'm guessing, I'm not Kyler, I think Kyler Murray's foot is good to go. I mean, by the practice footage, by what you've seen, like, season's on the line. You want to go out there and battle with your teammates. Like, I think his foot's okay. Why on earth, if that's the case and if that is your plan, would you be working with the mindset? And, like, now we've got Marv, like, speaking on it. Like, I don't know who's going to play. I think we have that bite. I mean, it's just, this is either like bizarre world. In my opinion, there are 3 outcomes. Bizarre world, you're trying to get a competitive advantage, but frankly, it looks kind of dumb. Option 2 is that they've benched him outright for Jacoby, and they're just trying to lay low with this. And then option 3 is they brought in another quarterback for the preparation of shopping Kyler Murray and playing Jacoby Brissett ahead of Tuesday's trade deadline. Those are the 3 options right now. Yes, does option 1, the gamesmanship one, probably lead the pack? Yes, but again, like, I don't think you're handling it well. This all seems kind of, it's a little shady what's going on. And I can understand that the fan base is like, what are you doing? Are you trading Kyler Murray? Just come out, be forthright. You're 2-5. What are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean, 2 of the least likely scenarios, in my opinion, like, are that they'll trade him come Tuesday. That still seems like it's pretty far-fetched. And then the other is like that he's not healthy enough to go at this point.
He is,
it just feels, does it still get a little tender, or, is it sore to the touch? I don't know, but, like, it just seems like if he was that close 1 week removed, we're 3 weeks fully removed from this thing. So it is fascinating. Yeah, let's hear that bite from Marv, who was asked about who's starting at quarterback.
I don't know either.
I don't know either. If we got to find out who this guy is, who's starting at quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, Kyler Murray has practiced for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He's been out there on the practice. Who practices for 3 weeks and doesn't play? What are you doing?
And I mean, the thing about the Cowboys, and I think we still have these stats, opposing quarterbacks against the Cowboys. Take a look at these. I mean, QBs versus Dallas, most fantasy points. I don't know if you want real hard stats here. Passing yards per game, 273, over 2.5 passing touchdowns. They've given up 20. They don't turn the ball over. Like, if there ever was a conducive time to reinsert Kyler Murray and try to generate some instant success, it's now. The only thing that starting Jacoby Brissett has potential to do is to continue to murky the waters about who is the better quarterback and who gives you the best chance to win. Like, there's a very good chance, just based on how Dallas plays defense, that Jacoby Brissett is going to have a third productive game with the Cardinals offense at QB1. If he
I think that's a lock. I think Jacoby Brissett, 300 yards and multiple passing touchdowns. Dallas's defense is a sieve. It's terrible. They're missing their top corner, Trayvon Diggs. You mentioned to me off air, their best linebacker left practice today. They're the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL. So, like, if I'm Kyler Murray and I'm healthy, it's like, well, I want to play against them. I want to be, of course, you have your history in that stadium and with that in front of that fan base. But it's like, what are we doing here, guys? Well, what's the benefit? Like, you're trying to get Matt Eberflus to. I'm pretty sure Matt Eberflus is probably preparing for Kyler and Jacoby. I would think any defensive coordinator worth their salt's like, well, we know Kyler Murray's starting, but he's been injured. Let's look at. You're going to watch Jacoby Brissett tape. Right.
There's not much of a difference, right? No matter who's in there.
It's the same offense, and it shouldn't matter. But you're going to watch, like, the last 2 weeks of footage, and you're going to know, like, okay, this is what they've been doing. Like, it makes them come across like we know something you don't know. But does that, what you're trying to emulate, like, does it even matter? I'm not sure it even
playing hide and seek with my 4-year-old.
Right.
He's standing in the corner, and he's got a blanket, like, not draped over him, completely over himself.
Behind the curtain rod.
He has no, like, he's like, you'll never find me. And like, you're right there. That's the game of hide and seek that they're playing. That's the game. That's the level of gamesmanship. Like that. If Eberflus is worth his salt, he's been, you can say what you want about him as a head coach and his start here in Dallas, but he's been around the block as far as a DC in this league. He knows how to kind of exactly, Jonathan, lampshade on the head. And I think I also saw Jonathan celebrating a birthday. Happy B-Day.
Happy B-Day.
It's just, is it worth it to create this type of, I guess, unrest among the fan base about the quarterback? If you truly are, like, all in on QB1.
If you play Jacoby Brissett, he's going to play well. I think you and I are both on the same page. He's got 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's the number 1 quarterback on third down since he started playing.
Well, and then if he doesn't start this week, his next opportunity is Seattle on the road.
Right. You're going to trot Kyler Murray out in that game cold? I'm not going to sit here and say I think Kyler Murray is being dealt, because starting quarterbacks are not at the trade deadline. But I do think that, number one, the trade history of the Vikings is not nothing. The fact that Kyler Murray, the frustration with this offense and the lack of results, like, if you're the Cardinals, and I'm going to play hypothetical with you, and the Minnesota Vikings call you and they want to have a conversation about Kyler Murray, and you're Jonathan Gannon and Michael Bidwell, and you're at a point where the season is almost basically lost, right? Barring a run. And the Vikings are offering you a premium, and you can get a head start on your offseason. And then you have the blessing of Michael Bidwell, like, okay, we're going to roll with Jacoby Brissett for the rest of the year. We're going to try to win as many games as we can, but we have future draft capital to attack this in the offseason. This doesn't have to hover over us, and you're going to get maybe a more desperate team in the offseason or in the season like Minnesota. I think you entertain it. because with all certainty right now, with Benjamin Albright on our show a couple weeks ago when the injury happened, he's pretty adamant Kyler Murray would not be back. And now if you're like, well, we were playing better without him. Like, do I think they're going to be a better team without Kyler Murray? No, I think Kyler Murray is a better player than Jacoby Brissett. But if I'm just going off of like this regime and what they've done and where they've been successful 2 weeks with a quarterback that fits what Drew Petzing wants to do. So if the Vikings want to call and offer, what would it take to get Kyler Murray from you next Tuesday to the Minnesota Vikings? What would you need?
The thing about it, especially when you look at, the contract and the fallout, obviously it's not just trading any player. It's
Right.
trading a guy you took first overall. It's a guy that you invested, almost 7 seasons into building your franchise around, and then admitting this is where it ends. This is where it stops. And you're doing it at an almost unprecedented time. Like how many quarterbacks have been dealt this time of year?
Right.
Josh Freeman, only one that comes to mind when he fell out of favor with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With all that being said, like it would probably have to, for you to do that and really kind of create more chaos in year 3 that's already occurred. It would have to be the form of a first round pick and some change. And I know that's like jarring and people are like, no way, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's what would make you even let me entertain the conversation for the more chaos to come onto my 2025 season.
Seamus 199 super chat. JJ McCarthy in a first. I mean, you read my mind. It would have to be, I would say, the Vikings first round pick. If you're dealing your starting quarterback in the season,
yeah,
it would have to be their first round pick. And then the sweetener would be like, clearly, if they're trading for Kyler, you're acquiring a quarterback 30 cents on the dollar because it's not working out. You're not going to bring a Kyler Murray into a quarterback room with JJ McCarthy. Like I think like JJ McCarthy would be a throw-in at that point. He would be a guy you could watch and observe for the offseason with Jacoby, but you would have 2 first-round picks then to do what you need to do in the draft next year. It would be a sweetener. People are saying JJ McCarthy is god-awful. I agree with that. I don't think he's any good. I think that's why the Vikings would do this. But I also, Jared Goff got traded once upon a time from Sean McVay. Like, just bring him in your building and let him work with your team. And like, if he's a future backup, so be it. But he would be a throw-in, a first in JJ McCarthy. I would be content with that. But my biggest thing that I can't like get over the hump on is like, if Kyler Murray is healthy, which we believe he is, in a pivotal matchup, why is he not declared the starter, first team reps with the starter? You want to be buttoned up as a franchise. You've had too much off the field noise as it is. You already see teams around the NFL, like the Ravens, are going to get in trouble with how they handled Lamar Jackson's situation last week, with not being truthful with the media pertaining to his injury.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Cardinals push Kyler Murray's media availability from today, or their quarterback media availability.
Sure.
So like, who talks next, and when does that happen in your estimation?
What it's been the last 2 weeks is it's been Fridays, which was the last day of practice going into the game. So it would be Saturday potentially. And if it's Kyler never speaks at his locker, he always speaks in the press room. Jacoby, we've caught up with him at his locker because there's been this gamesmanship, like this, we're going to try to bleed this thing. And so I don't anticipate getting any clarity as far as utilizing that little tidbit of information. Like
that's not going to help either
until Saturday. Right. Because I think Kyler's still going to be limited in practice. He's still going to be questionable, and there's still going to be, the option going into, Sunday, Monday of him until he's inactive potentially on that game day. And it also, I think like another, sign of this would be the where Keaton Slovis is. Like if they release Keaton Slovis, Kyler Murray's going to be on the roster and available for game day. is he going to be available? Is he going to be active and not starting? I'd see that like open up another can of worms. When you think about trading Kyler Murray, you think about like obviously with his contract, like what are the ramifications? It's like, what is the benefit of trading him next week? Because you don't save much more really at all. Like you get extra cap money like for this season, which what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're getting basically the same dead cap charge in 2026 if you trade him on Tuesday that if you trade him in the offseason. So don't you think you could get the best deal from a team in the offseason than you could because there's going to be more buyers?
What do you subscribe? I think there's I mean, it just depends. Depends how I don't think you're getting better than one first round pick from a team.
Right.
And the Vikings are under 500. That's hypothetically, that's why we pose that.
But you trade them.
But I also
post June 1st trade, right? And you've got still 2026 dead cap charge of nearly $35 million that you have to take on.
I also think it could be their kind of get out of jail free card, depending on how they finish, to go to Michael Bidwell and say, like, we tried to make it work with Kyler Murray. We got back, especially if you're Ossenfort, we got back significant draft resources. Let us right this ship in the offseason. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do.
Right.
But like, 2-5 is 2-5. You can't run from it. What about the mindset that they don't want to play him? And again, I brought this up like 3 weeks ago. Like Russell Wilson got benched in Denver because they wanted to be able to move off of his deal and not have it be an injury scenario. And they thought they were going to trade him and they just had to outright cut him. But like injury settlement, whatever, like what's the likelihood that the Cardinals bench Kyler Murray for fear of injury? I don't know. I'm just going through all these hypotheticals now where it's like we have to maintain your trade value for the offseason. Because here's where we're at, folks. If the Cardinals, knowing Kyler Murray is healthy to play Monday and play Jacoby Brissett, it's over. It's over. We're 4 days away from that. If Kyler Murray doesn't play on Monday Night Football, I think there's a very good chance that we have seen him play his last game as an Arizona Cardinal. So that's why we have to talk about this.
Right.
Because, Bo, to your point, going to Seattle, a place where, by the way, Gannon's never won, it's like Kyler Murray cold going into Seattle. Come on. Though, I mean, there's a very real possibility he's played his last game if Jacoby starts Monday.
What is this season?
It's a nightmare world.
What is the season turned into?
I'm at the point where it's just like nothing would surprise me.
Yeah. And it's like you're going to hear from BJ Ojulari and you're going to hear from Walter Nolen later before the end of the show. And like Ojulari is going to admit the severity of his injury. And it's like, I think transparency as far as that went would have saved the player. I think transparency as far as this went would probably have done the player a lot better than just this cloud of misinformation, not misinformation, but just this unknown. Yeah. It's really a strange way of doing business.
We're back around the corner. We're going to continue to try to make sense of all this. Your super chats. Plus, we're going to go through, ahead of Kyler Murray, other players that could potentially be dealt for the Cardinals on Tuesday. That's coming up. Hit that like button. The only way I can make sense of all this is with my friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, because unlike the Cardinals, they shoot me straight. They say, Johnny, here's what you need to do to have a better banking experience. It's Desert Financial, the only place you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase. Exclusive debit cards branded with your favorite teams, including the Cardinals, ASU, and Northern Arizona University. They're financial experts committed to their members and their community, offering financial solutions tailored to helping real-life people like me, like you, achieve our financial goals and dreams. Look for Desert Financial via checking, savings, mortgages, loans, checking accounts. Did I mention that? Credit cards, investment options, and more. And again, join a credit union that's committed to giving back to the community and sharing successes with their members. You can open up a free checking account online, get $200. How about it? In bonus bets. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200, Bo, to get started.
Love Desert Financial. Also love what's going on with Shady Rays. You need to hide the tears you're crying by watching this team play week in and week out. Yeah, you got bags under your eyes, or you just got the sun in your eyes and you want some cool shades for, premium polarized shades for whatever adventuring you may be doing. It's Shady Rays. Shady Rays, I'm going to be traveling with mine as I make my way to Dallas. Whatever the moment, you got your favorite sunglasses with you from Shady Rays. Whether you're hanging on the beach, you're out there getting up Camelback, or you're like me in Dallas, check it out. You lose, you break them. You got the really easy way to get them replaced from Shady Rays. No guilt trip, just replace their sunglasses. Now you got to check out where to find them. ShadyRays.com. 5-star rated by 300,000 people, and you can save 35% off your polarized sunglasses by using the code PHNX for 35% off. We teamed up with Shady Rays because we want you to get this exclusive offer on these unbelievable sunglasses. That price point is already low. Save more. Find out why 300,000 people have rated them 5 stars online. Shady Rays, ShadyRays.com, code PHNX.
Hit that like button. Get us to 500 likes here on a Football Thursday special early show with Bo and I. Jumping back into this nightmare world of a team. What's happening this week? You mentioned BJ Ojulari. It was kind of the subheader today. Returned to practice. Looked good by all accounts, but was very candid as it relates, Bo, to his injury and subsequent recovery time.
It's been a journey. It's been hell, for real, just recovering. My recovery took a little longer than everybody expected, but, I just took it day by day, leaned on my teammates, my coaches, and my training staff. So, every knee is different. Every recovery is different. A lot of people think I just tore my ACL, but I tore, 2 more ligaments in my knee, so my process was very different. And then, towards camp, when I wasn't back up, I realized that it's going to take longer than usual just to get back and feel confident to get back on the field. But I tip my hat to the coaches, to Monti, JG, Chad, Drew, especially just for taking their time, not rushing me back out there and putting a bad product on the field.
So this has been a subject that has been debated, talked about on social media quite a bit. People are like, where's BJ Ojulari? What's taking so long? Will Hernandez got back less than a year before. Nobody knew the true severity. Now, I know I've talked about it on this show that he suffered more than just like a torn ACL. And as he mentioned, he tore 3 ligaments in his knee. It was a disaster as far as the injury that he suffered and sustained in training camp back in July of 2024. So, for him to have this long road back that he's called hell, it clearly sucks for the player. Now you just wish him the best as far as, speedy process, as far as getting back into football shape and really kind of taking advantage of this 21-day window and potentially getting back out there as an active player on game days.
Yeah, I mean, you feel for him. And again, we could get into the minutia of why weren't they transparent with his injury? And I saw him, as did you, in the summer, and he looked a ways away. So that, yeah. And their signings in the offseason, rightfully so, suggested that they weren't going to count on him. It's that's the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't rush the passer the last 2 years. He was out last year. He was set to miss the entire season, and he was going to have a long way from a recovery standpoint. So what they do, they re-signed Baron Browning, they brought in Josh Sweat, they drafted Jordan Birch, they're developing some of the other players they have, and then when he's ready, he'll come back and contribute. I'm not as hung up on this because the optics of BJ in the summer were just so glaring, where it's just he needs much more time. Whereas then we'd see Walter Nolen, and we're why isn't he practicing? So maybe I've just kind of compartmentalized the difference between Walt, which they've needed, and I'm why isn't he playing? Whereas BJ, I just never accounted for him being a contributor. But again, it goes back to with all due respect, Cardinals, no one trusts what you say with injuries because we have more examples, I think, than not of guys that we think are good end up missing significant time. I think every fan moving forward, as long as the Cardinals continue to operate this way, has to be very cautious believing anything, which is sad. Like, just be transparent. I think that's the best bet.
I think there's a certain, extent that you need to go to protect your player far as, but at the same time, it goes towards detrimental to where the fan base is like, what the hell? This isn't like most, we all know each player's case by case, but it's not like most knee injuries. So give us something instead of, we're not going to get into that, or, he's doing well and, he'll be out there when he's out there, because that is become so vague that it's like you can't pinpoint anything. And, the fan base is like, well, it seems like he's close. Is he? And then it's like, is he ever coming back? Yeah. I mean, I was at the point where it's like, I know he's coming back at some point this season, but have no clue when that could be. No clue what that could be. Because, I mean, missing 2 full seasons with an ACL tear seems like, I mean, there had to have been a setback. So that's not the case here, where it just was a severe, I think his ACL, MCL, and his LCL maybe he tore.
Brutal. On the positive side, Walter Nolen spoke with Bo and the rest of the media and appears ready to debut, we hope, on Monday Night Football. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I feel like I'm ready whenever they are, and I'm just going to continue to support my team in whichever way I can.
He's ready when they are. I mean, and he said he doesn't know when he's going to make his debut, but he's ready to go if that time comes as early as Monday. So it's more where, like, he's clearly been coached. Like, I think he's probably got a good idea. I think so does his podcast. I mean, I think a lot of people are under the belief, especially with how they've got 2 active roster spots open, that Walter Nolen is going to take one of those and make his debut come Monday night against the Dallas Cowboys.
Long time coming. Excited to preview that in the coming days and watch him probably in limited snaps. And happy for him, because whether or not it's this regime or another one, he's a big part of their future. And I think as long as he stays healthy, I think he's too talented of a player not to have an impact. And the Cardinals need it. It's been too long. With all due respect to Darius, now kind of in between where we thought he'd be. It's been too long since the Cardinals had a homegrown impact defensive tackle. So hopefully that changes this week. Let's jump into, because we put this together long before this tomfoolery with Kyler's situation started. Quickly run through the trade deadlines on Tuesday. Kyler clearly is at the top of our intrigue list now. You've got even people like Benjamin Solak quote tweeting like the Brian Windhorst, a meme of like, what are the Cardinals doing? Like, it's bizarre. Here are some more conventional options ahead of the trade deadline. Let's quickly run through these. Calais Campbell, although he spoke again today, he wants to finish the job here. I think the Cardinals will happily allow Calais to remain on the team. I mean, like 6th or 7th rounder for Calais. I mean, it is what it is. But then you look at a guy like Jalen Thompson, who's been playing really well, and you think about a ton of teams need safety help, Buffalo included. That's probably the most likely option. Get a high caliber safety starter with some good ball skills. But again, I'd like to see Jalen Thompson with the secondary fully healthy for a couple weeks. And then some lesser options like Greg Dortch. He's their primary return man, but again, beat out by Zay Jones, not a featured player in this passing game. Maybe somebody would want an additional piece, offensively. And then just really, there's not too many options outside of these 3. And then maybe a Zaven Collins. But I think they love Zaven. He's a glue guy. He's part of that rotation. He and Gannon are very close. Like, honestly, it feels like Jalen and Calais are clearly the front runners if anything were to happen.
Yeah. All options, right? All guys that would be able to fill a role somewhere else.
Right.
But nothing's like a slam dunk. Like what would you fetch that would be worth, trade him? The thing like with Dortch is, Dortch can play in the return game and he can be a piece on offense. And then also you don't have the luxury of just using the tag that you used for him the tenders that they've used the last couple of years. Kind of took advantage of his accrued NFL time or lack thereof. So And Greg's going to be able to hit the free agent market and finally earn what he deserves. And like Zaven, we'll see what other teams view Zaven Collins with. I mean, he can still thank this organization for being able to give him opportunity to extend his NFL career, make a position change. And then JT, I mean, it would take, as you see, the Steelers had to make a trade for a safety earlier this week. Like, it's just that time of year where, you know, if you want to get a productive NFL caliber safety, you could get one who's in the final year of his deal. No doubt about it. And
Gannon mentioned, we touched on it earlier in the show, that, you know, this team has, he and Ossenfort talk about it.
Right.
Ossenfort's in on this. But again, like we've got intrigue with now the starting quarterback. Like that takes precedent over everything else. I mean, you're talking max with any of these deals, at best a sixth rounder, I would think, sixth or fifth maybe. I mean, Clay will probably fetch you the most. And again, if he wants to stay, then he should be able to stay.
It's not going to fetch you. I mean, that's just fire sale stuff. That's waving the white flag type stuff.
Right, because 3 of those 4 guys are free agents to be.
Yeah.
And Zaven, you know, who knows? I think, I mean, Philadelphia would make a lot of sense for Calais, but I don't see the Cardinals doing a deal with Philly. They're looking for defensive line help. I mean, it's actually funny with all the intrigue we talked about with the running back situation, like Kansas City, a bunch of teams are looking for a back. So, I mean, we'll see if any of those high price names get traded. But I mean, now, I mean, this team's got 4 days now to make a decision on what they're going to do with Kyler Murray. And that decision is going to dictate the rest of the season, for better or worse, whether they keep him, whether they move him, whether they bench him, whether he plays. I mean, like it's crazy we've gotten to this point. But I mean, the likelihood that we get to Tuesday and there's not some kind of fallout from this, I would be surprised. The status quo, like minus Kyler playing, lighting it up, they look great. They have their best performance of the year. Like, at some point, change has to be warranted with the amount of losses this team is stopping.
I mean, I think that would be the most welcome, right? Like,
yes,
despite all this that's going on, that happened, transpired today, quarterback press conference, that if regardless what transpires the rest of the week, Kyler Murray's in there come Monday night, has a good performance and a win, and the sun rises on Tuesday and the season is still alive. Without, you know, a true quarterback controversy continuing on.
But like, do you think that that's a likelihood, or do you think that that's their mindset when they're doing this tomfoolery during the week with Kyler and the backups and the limited and the no media availability? Like, and like, here's what you can't ignore. Even like myself, who Kyler Murray stan, had him on the show, want to see him do well.
Mm-hmm.
They have to understand the infrastructure and the major players have to understand that Kyler did not play. Jacoby is just a better fit for what they want to do. But does that mean Jacoby can sustain this? I don't think so. I think that's naive, and that's why I would support going back to Murray. But like, could they really be that naive to watch Jacoby Brissett for 2 weeks and say, like, we're out, we're done? I don't know.
There was so much buy-in from the staff,
right,
with Kyler Murray. I mean, that would be a quick pivot. I mean, the results, they're undeniable. I'm not denying them at all. You look at the numbers.
Here, let's pull it up again. Do we still have that graph? I mean, like, they were the 16th best third down conversion to the best in the NFL against 2 teams that are going to maybe have the 1 seed. I mean, 2 of the best teams in the NFL. I think what's the most damning number on here? It's got to be the passing yards per game.
Yeah. 30th
to 5th.
170 to basically 365.
I mean,
I'm sorry, 275. 365 would be absolutely absurd. You got to start Jacoby averaging 365 over 2 weeks.
Yeah. 100 yards through the air more.
Yeah.
And again, this is not us saying that Jacoby is better than Kyler, but like, the bare minimum is if Kyler comes back, then you need these numbers to improve. You need these numbers to be comparable to Jacoby. What if they feel like that can't happen in their infrastructure? I don't know. Not a great time for our friends with the clarity police. It's not a good time at all. We're back around the corner. Your super chats, hit that like. It's PHNX. I'll tell you what, I need clarity. I need to veg out, and I need to do it and relax with our friends at Pure Edibles. Pure Edibles, founded here in Arizona, 130 dispensaries statewide. Hot damn! Created in Flagstaff at Noble Herb Dispensary, the home of Pure Edibles, and is now made here in our backyard in Phoenix, Arizona. They offer sleep support as well as candies with uplifting effects derived with unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD, and marijuana-derived THC. And they're designed to be ripped in half, making them easily shareable, easy to dial in your exact dose. Go find yourself some Pure Edible products today from one of over 130 dispensaries all across Arizona.
Unreal. We were hanging out with one of the big wigs over there, Pure Edibles, on our way to New Orleans. It was a long time ago. A lot better vibes back then as we were gearing up for the 2025 season, as opposed to going into week 9 of the NFL season. Whether you're, going to on a night in town in New Orleans, or you're going to the gym, or you're going to a business meeting, Mack Weldon's got the gear for you, and you can save 25% off just by being a viewer, listener of PHNX. Explore shorts, shirts, hoodies, and more, MackWeldon.com, and use that promo code to get that 25% off, because it's effortless style and comfort for whatever season it may. It's not just it's not flashy, it's just classic, always in style, and made from the world's most comfortable performance materials. You got the Cool Max technology, the tech linen, and the air knit underwear, which are unbeatable. I'm gonna fill up my entire underwear skivvies drawer going forward with Mack Weldon and their of course air knit underwear. Get the breathable clothes you can feel comfortable in. Go to MackWeldon.com, 25% off your first order of $125 or more with the code PHNX. That's MackWeldon.com, promo code PHNX.
Hit that like button, jumping in to your super chats. Jacob kicking us off, $199. Get ready for Dante Moore, boys. Well, you better be ready to lose out or have a top 5 pick. Listen, I think he's good. I think he's a little raw. Right. I don't know if I trust that system.
20 years old. He's a redshirt sophomore, I believe.
He is also like pretty thin. I think you'd want to bulk him up a little bit. I don't think he's like a plug and play. Like, I think Mendoza to me is more plug and play to take NFL licks. He's bigger, more experience. I think he's got less to work with, and I like that about him. If you said the Cardinals left the draft with Dante Moore, I would be happy about that. There are a lot of quarterbacks I can talk myself into.
It's going to go with Seamus. We got this one earlier. J.J. McCarthy in a first.
J.J. McCarthy, there's zero chance, if you're the Vikings, if you don't make the playoffs this year, that you can go into 2026 with him as just your default starter, right? You're you're 2 years into this. He was hurt last year. He's hurt again this year. He's been bad. Outside of that Bears game when he was good in the second half, he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. So, what's J.J. McCarthy worth on the open market? Like a 3rd, 4th round pick at best now? You're wasting his rookie wage scale. I think, a first and a throw-in McCarthy style, I think that would be fine. They clearly regret letting Sam Darnold go. That's not.
He's a quarterback. We're having a stout run game is essential, just like he did at Michigan. That doesn't exist here right now. So as far as getting him ready to play and putting him in a spot, if he ever can be successful at this level, it's a long ways away. Let's keep it going here with the super chats. How about Big Crack in the back? What a moment at our Radio Row where Saul and I were surprised by the person behind us, as you can see in this chat profile pic.
Butt crack.
Yeah, guys, butt crack hanging out. Saw Detroit offensive coordinator apologizing for not including Jameson Williams. How about that?
I mean, just a little transparency goes a long way.
That's how Dan Campbell and his staff do it, though.
They're about as transparent as they come. A lot of Bruce Arians in that staff. Miami Redbird, $5. If you've followed this team since St. Louis, nothing's changing. Only constant is ownership. If Bidwell had a higher up to answer to, he'd be long gone. I mean, like, but here's the thing, and I agree, like, this has been a long time since this team has had sustained success. Like, this team, the infrastructure of this team and the players were derived from this regime right now. Gannon and Ossenfort, and again, I'm not making excuses for anybody, pick these players, pick their coaches, have been equipped with all the tools. We've had Gannon tell us on and off air that Michael Bidwell's been great. Like, are they up to date on all the NFLPA facility upgrades? No, and they're working toward that. And again, I Miami Redbird, I think, like, the biggest reason I'd be sad to see Gannon and Ossenfort go, on top of, like, I like them as people, is they're doing a lot to drive the franchise forward. I think there are instances in which you can point to ownership in the past. I look at, like, this year in particular, like, they have to own this. Mm-hmm. They have better players than a lot of the teams they're playing, and they're blowing leads. Like, Bruce Arians didn't make excuses about losing games and ownership. Like, the Cardinals had a inconsistent offensive product last year that they doubled down on, and it has bit them in the ass this year. And then for whatever reason, their fourth quarter defense has just been atrocious. Like that, it's a very easy thing to pinpoint this season.
Yeah, there were cries for a long time that, ownership needed to get itself out of the football operations, and that's what they've got with this regime for the most part. Is Bidwell has put Ossenfort and Gannon in power, and now people are saying, like, Bidwell needs to intervene. It's like, you can't have both, right? If you want him to step out and let the football operations guy do their jobs, then you're going to have to let them figure it out and then evaluate. And then if it's not good enough, then you step in and you make a move and you change leadership. But, you can't say one thing one day and then another thing the next. Jack jumping in with a $9.99 super chat. Supported this team from the UK for 7 years now. All I know is disappointment.
Rough, because you missed the Arians years. I meant to touch on this earlier because just how depressing this week has been, but it's just like, we got to the rebuild. They, like, Cardinal fans, like, you waited and you did the rebuild, like, quote unquote, right. You waited, you watched this team struggle, you counted your draft picks, things fell in line where you got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray had a comeback story, and you bought into the Gannon, Ossenfort, narratives and hype and messaging and all the good stuff, and it still isn't working out. And that is a very deflating feeling as a fan, where it's like, you didn't try to take shortcuts. You took it, in the teeth when the Niners were winning and the Rams were winning. And now it's like, okay, now is our time, and everything's lined up, and they're not winning. And that's probably the most dejected feeling as a franchise and a fan base, is to put in the time, wait and hope, and the product and the end result isn't good enough. That's very disappointing.
Yeah. You guys crushed it as far as your super chats. See all the supporters in the chat as well, firing off their emojis. Become a supporter for the low price, $4.99 a month. Does so much for our company. It really does do what the name is. It supports us, the official supporters club badge. Get it for the real ones, true sicko level stuff. You get access not only to the emojis, but also special polls we do, special content that we've ripped. We did a mock draft just for supporters. Get access to that by becoming a supporter today.
Yep. Do us a favor, hit the like on this video. We're back tomorrow with hopefully some added clarity pertaining to Kyler, Jacoby, and what might be next for this franchise ahead of Monday Night Football. Plus, dust off our game predictions. For Noah Bo, I'm Johnny. We'll talk to you on a Football Friday.
We all silly like the mayor.